So of course we're going to go on to the career side of things, otherwise I wouldn't really be showing you much in this generation things. Okay, so a number of different careers. Let's turn to the big table of careers. The big table of careers, okay. So the career process, there are some commonalities between each of the careers, otherwise the careers carry their own set of rules, all right? So these are the careers, 13 of them: craftsman, scholar, entertainer, citizen, scout, merchant, spacer, soldier, agent, rogue, noble, marine, and functionary, all right? So that's what they all down here. This risk and reward table kind of drives a lot of what's going on. So let's go and put his education to the side. We're going to do his career path down here. You don't want to get them too old as well, because aging starts at 34, right? So I think if we go through a couple of turns, one turn will get him to 29, 26, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So if we do 2 terms and then see what we go after that. So risk and reward, yes. So each profession, career, has a risk and reward element to it. So the higher the risk you take, the greater the reward. To that end, you can take a modifier, and that modifier is applied to your risk. It's a modifier to the target roll. So you take a negative modifier to your target when you're trying to roll for success, and it's based on based on a characteristic and a bunch of other modifiers. And if you fail your risk roll, all sorts of things can happen to your character. You can be injured, it can be wounded, in which case you get wound badges and so on. It can be disabled, so you could end up having a character that has been thrown out of the Navy for becoming disabled on duty, but you get double benefits. Or you can die. So let me address that elephant in the room. Traveller is famous for having this concept of death during character generation. Now, in classic Traveller, it was a straightforward survival roll. Every term you took, you rolled survival, and if you failed that survival roll, your character died at that point during character generation. And the more dangerous career paths, which carried the greater reward, were the ones you're most likely to die in. Scouts famously died a lot. In later editions of Traveller, they kind of softened that down a bit to say, well, okay, instead of dying outright, you could have taken injury instead, or some other effect. And I think Mongoose Traveller has the sort of some other effect as well. Sorry about that. We've had card, now we've got battery. So a quick switch of that. Where was I? I was talking about risk and reward. There we go. So the way that Traveller5 does it is that you choose a modifier somewhere between -9 to +9. And that modifier applies to your risk roll. So if you're putting a +9 modifier on it, you're reducing the possibility that you will suffer from failing your risk roll. It's different for every career, but let's take the military careers. You suffer a risk roll, your character suffers some kind of injury. You determine what that injury is. It might be a severe injury. Collect too many severe injuries or too many injuries in general, and your character can die. So T5 does not remove the possibility of your character dying during character generation. However, it's not a usual thing. So while it's a bit of a meme and a bit of a kind of in joke and everything like that, your character dying during character generation is not the norm. It's not. It doesn't happen a huge amount of times, but it can happen. But you can alleviate it in T5 by adjusting that modifier to get your character through safely. So -9 to +9 is the modifier that you choose for every single term you take. I guess I should define what a term is. A term is 4 years. So your character goes through 4 yearly terms, follows a career for a turn, then see if they can change careers if they want, and if they or they can attempt to stay in the same career, and there is a continuation roll for that, and the result of the continuation roll can be you have to continue, or you're chucked out, or what have you. So yeah, there's that modifier you can take, like I said, -9 to +9. So if you apply so the modifier that you choose for risk is applied in reverse to the reward roll. So that means the more risk you take by applying a negative modifier to your risk roll, which means that you are more likely to fail it, then the greater the reward that you can get, because you then apply that same modifier as a positive modifier to your reward roll, which means you are more likely to get a high result for reward. So there you go. And this is just to explain why that matters, rolling high for reward. So let's go for the medals table. Yes, the wonderful little medals table. Okay, so in this table, the medals table only applies to military careers, but this is it's a good explanation of why the reward stuff and having positive modifiers for your reward stuff it really helps. So your reward stuff is a characteristic roll, so it's based on whatever your characteristic. Let's say your characteristic is 8, and if you apply a no modifier whatsoever, right? So no modifier whatsoever, you're carrying in a target number of 8. So you want to roll 8 or less on your reward, and if you're rolling on a reward that would provide you with a medal, that roll of 8 or less can only go that far up the table, right? So that gives you an exemplary service medal, which only carries a +1 modifier. So when medals are used to apply modifiers to various things, it might be for promotion, or it might be for gaining a commission, it might be for additional benefits or something like that, your modifier is only +1 for each of those medals you received. So what you want to try and do is to push this up to something better. So if you had a +4, right? I mean, you're risking it because you're taking a -4 penalty for your risk roll, which means your target number for risk is down to 4. Now that's less than 50% chance of success, right? But your reward is now, the maximum you can get is now 12. So if you roll, you're going to succeed your reward no matter what, because your reward on 2 6-sided dice you can only get a 12 or lower. But if you do roll 12, it means you've succeeded and you're up here, right? The starburst for extreme heroism, and for each one of those it's a +4 modifier. So one of these is worth 4 of these. So that's kind of why it is. You're pushing your reward thing up, not just to go and make it easier for you to actually get a reward or succeed at your reward roll, but also the results of your reward for certain careers can actually be better, especially in the military. You can gain some better bonuses and boons and everything else from that. All right. So if you're an officer as well, you get a +1. So that could be that 12 would go to 13, and you get the starburst for extreme heroism with diamonds. Woohoo, for a roll of 13. There you go. So that's sort of the basis behind looking at your risk and your reward. Now, which characteristic is used per turn for your risk and reward is up to you, but within certain parameters. That's what all of these C2, O3, C blah blahs are about in this block here. As we said right at the outset, each characteristic has got a number, C1, C2, C3, 0 to C6, right? So when you're picking, you can choose from whichever array for risk and reward that your chosen career has. You can choose any one of those for your first term. For your second term, you can choose any one of the other ones that you haven't chosen, and then you cycle through them like that. So for each term, you have to choose a different characteristic from the array for the career every single term until you've used all of them, and then you can go back and choose whichever one you want again. So you obviously, for your first term, you choose your highest. If that's if the array allows you to pick a high one, choose your highest, and then that should hopefully then allow you some leeway when it comes to choosing a lower one, or at least your first term can be relatively successful. Then your second term might not be, because you might have to choose a lower characteristic in order to determine risk and reward for that. So that's how this works. So for example, let's see, what do we want him to do? He's got a bit of programming knowledge, he's got a bit of robotics knowledge, and he's got a bit of electronics knowledge, and he's flunked out of university. So why did he flunk out of university? Well, what are we going to say? We could what would that be useful in? I don't think he's going to be a scholar. Do you think? No. I mean, he's flunked out of university, so that's not going to make him a scholar. He could be a spacer, which is like the Space Navy and stuff like that. Could be a Space Navy because, electronics and robotics and programming can be useful in that trade. Could be a rogue. So maybe the reason why he flunked out of university was because he sort of fell in with a bad crowd, and that distracted him from all of this kind of thing. So he's now messing around with the wrong kind of crowd. Or he could be a functionary. Working for the government. So I think I like the idea of my guy being, let's say he's gone along the same lines. Have you ever seen a movie called Swordfish? Maybe he's gone along the same kind of lines as that. He's a bit of a rogue. So we're going to go for rogue, right? We don't need to refer back to this table, by the way. This just gives us an idea of what's going on. Each of the careers sort of repeats this information within its page. So this is some kind of reference for us, but we don't really need to go that. What have we got? Rogue. I can use any one. Rogue is a special case. Well, we'll find out what it is. So these are the descriptions of them all. Rogue is number 10. So 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. Here is the page for rogue. So it says controlling characteristics, terms, but 12 is over. It says that to begin, controlling characteristic. Okay. A rogue selects one controlling characteristic, C1 through to C6. So any one of them. Which is then used throughout the career, not just for the current term. And then, for risk and reward and the continuation thing, you add the number of terms into the controlling characteristic. So you get a modifier for each one to continue, which is good. Which is good. So there we go. So I'm obviously going to be one of those smarmy little guys. He's got a fair sort of education and stuff going for him, but some electronics things. But he's going to go by on his sock. So we're going to say rogue, right? Rogue, and we're going to go for his sock as his CC. All right. So we need to begin. We need to roll 2 dice to be 10 or less than his sock. Which it is, an 8. Right, I suppose I should have rolled that before I scribbled anything down. But it is, so we can begin as a rogue. Awesome. Right. So, the go, we need to focus on a scheme. A rogue focuses on a scheme, a plan to amass at the expense of others. In each term, the rogue masterminds a scheme from the rogue's scheme table and consults the risk and reward The role for the risk is the controlling characteristic plus mods. Okay. Okay, right. So let's go and see if what we're going to do. Are we going to do, so turn one, let's say our mod, so we've got a starting of 10. Now let's take a -2, so it's not being too bravery, so that brings our target number down to 8. So it's controlling characteristic, which is social, -2, so that brings it down to 8, which gives us a +2 on the roll, the kind of rolls and rewards. Right, awesome. So we're going to roll for a scheme, which is flux. Remember what I said about flux? You roll a d6 after it's the first die minus the second die. Okay, so yellow minus red. But we're also going to go, it says that flux may be modified after the roll by plus or minus 1. So we can roll flux, see what happens to it, and then we can adjust it sort of up and down if we wish. So let's go and roll flux. It's 6 minus 6, which is 0, so right in the middle. So spacer. So I can either pretend to be a merchant or a soldier or a spacer. So let's go and start with let's be a spacer. So the scheme for this term is spacer. Okay. So rogue, risk and reward. So our risk, we need to roll against a target number of 8. So it says the sum of negative mods plus the flux. So flux was 0 this time round. Oh no, that's the results of failure. The results of failure on a risk is you go to prison. The results of success is you don't go to prison. That's basically. Sorry, I was reading that roll on. So roll and risk and reward is CC plus mods. Okay, so the mods that we've got is our cautionary and bravery, right? And the mod is number of terms. So we're on 1 term, so that's 1. Or no mod and mod plus terms. Bravery or no mod and mod plus terms. We are going for caution, so it's our target number is 8 to risk, to avoid prison. I want 8 or 8 or less. 5, we avoided prison. Automatic, awesome. So no prison. And our reward in this time round, the target number for, so that's risk. The target number for reward is 10, which is our sock, plus 2, because this chosen bravery, caution, whatever value is reversed to apply to reward. So target number for is 12. All right. So the reward is 12. So we've got the payoff equals the value of the scheme plus the controlling characteristic minus the reward die roll. Okay, so the controlling characteristic is 10 minus the roll. Okay, plus the mods. So the mods for reward, which in this case is opposite sign mods, which is plus 2. Okay, so let's see what we get. So the base roll is 100,000 credits. So we're going to have. Ooh. Okay, so that's we've rolled a 5. So it's going to be 1 plus 5, and that's 6, minus, sorry, 1 plus 10, which is 11, minus 5, which is 6, plus mods, which is 2, so that's 8, and then the value, which is 100,000, times 8, so we get CR 800,000. All right, that's not a bad little set for our first term scheming. Brilliant. Okay, so skills. We can go and choose any one of these things for our skills. So we get a number of skills, successful scheme, skill eligibility. So per term, so we got 2 skills, right? Failed scheme 1, we didn't fail. Successful scheme 4, so that gives us 6 skills in total. And in prison 2, so we didn't go to prison. So we have got 6 skills to roll this term. Term skills and row skills, we can choose any one of these. So I've got 6 to split between each one of these tables. Any one I really like. So I'm going to go for let's see, personal. Let's take 2 personals. I'm going to take 1 academic. I'm going to take, do I need to write 2 starship? That brings me up to 5. And then I'm going to take 1 business. Now, those selections, you can write a story about all of those as to why those particular selections, right? I haven't really got anything in mind. I can come up with that story after the fact. It just seemed to be logical. So it's 1 6-sided dice against all of those. So 2 personals. So first one is 5, which is C5 plus 1. So education has now gone to 9. And I'm just going to say that came from T1. All right. And the second personal, 2, which is C2 plus 1. So C2, so dexterity now goes to 7. That's C2, which is that's from term 1. Then I've got 1 academic, so we could put that down as C5 plus 1, C2 plus 1. Academic, we're rolling again, we get a 4, we got 1 trade. So from the trade skills, where have we got to? So I could put that, that list again. All this changing things around, I've lost where I'll move them in handy bits of paper. Okay, so trades, any one of these things here. So I could let's up programmer. So maybe that's what he was doing. He was hacking in, stealing people's data. So we got programmer, and he finished with programmer 3. So now he's gone to programmer 4. Okay, starship times 2, so starship, or space travel, sorry, times 2. We've got 4, which is 0G. 1, and we've also got a 1, which is a starship skill. So we need to go and have a look on the starship list, which is here. Right, and let's say he's got Astrogator 1. Right, just for the heck of it, really. Just for the heck of it. Okay, so that's that. And then the business, 1 business skill, 2. So business 2 got broker. That's always a handy one to have. All right. So that is his first term. So now he's 4 years, remember, 25, 26, 27, 28. So he's now 28. So this is now, he's 29 here. Right, so we've got continuation. Continuation is control characteristic plus terms. 1 term, control characteristic is 10 because he's chosen SOC. So 10 plus 1 is 11. We need 11 or less to go and continue. If we're going to try and continue, if we don't continue, then we go to muster out. If we get double 1, then we have to continue. Right, so double 1 is we have to continue. Anything else up to 11 is we can continue, and 12 is we can't continue, and that's it, we muster out. If you want to change career, which you can do, you do it at this point before you roll the continuation roll. So before you roll the continuation roll, you stop following one career, you go and pick up the next career, you do all of this kind of stuff, like find the page that's got the rules on it for that particular career, roll the to begin check to see if you go in. Now the problem there is, if you go and change career, you might fail the begin roll, and you can't switch back to the career that you have just left. If that happens, you then have to go and try and pick another career that is not the one you've just left, and not the one that you just unsuccessfully tried to go in. So for me personally, I tend to stick with the same career throughout, because I don't know, you can end up with characters that have got a lot of skills at rank 1, and if you've got a lot of skills at rank 1, it means you can do a lot of stuff badly. Whereas if you stick with the same career, you tend to pick up a collection of the same skills or similar skills and whatever. So you tend to be able to do a fewer things, but with better. And that's sort of how real life is. People tend to stick roughly within the same parameters of their career throughout their lives. Some useful exceptions though are things like if a character has gone into the army or whatnot, and then changed careers from there. So they've sort of gone into Civvy Street, and maybe they've been a medic in the army, and now they are working for as a medic within the civilian sphere of things and stuff like that. There's some useful cross-pollination of things. But we're going to stay as being a rogue. We have to stick with SOC. It says we choose that. We choose one, and that sticks with us throughout our entire career. So we are staying with SOC. I think that adjustment of -2 worked pretty well that time. That means our target numbers for risk is 8, and our target number for reward is 12. However, that gets added now. So our target number with our -2 is now 10, because we're on 2 terms, right? And our target number for continuation, it's 9, because the number of terms that we've completed. So our target number is 9 for that, and 13 for risk, even with that -3. Now I could, with that -2, I could go down to -3, which still give me a target number of 8 and a better chance of reward. But why risk it? Why not just say that he's getting better at doing his roguish stuff? So we're going to have the same risk. He's going to do the same measured approach to his roguery, and just to get better at it. So target numbers are 9 for risk and 13 for reward. Right, cool. Okay, so we're going to roll for the scheme again. Remember flux, so it's red minus yellow. So we've got 2 minus 5, that's -3. -3 is pretending to be a citizen, which is pretty crap. That's 50,000 credits. But just one up from that is scout, which gives us a ship share, and one down from that is entertainer, which is 300,000. So do I want to end up with a ton of money, or do I want to end up with a ship share? Let's go for ship share. So let's go and scheme is scout this time around, right? Fine. So let's see if I can avoid prison. So remember, we've got to do this. So roll CC plus mods. So caution bravery. It is. It's our controlling characteristic, which is 10, and our mods, which is so our target number is 9 this time around. So 9 or less. It's a 6. So we are a success. So scheme is scouts, no prison. So our reward is going to, so the value of the ship share is 1 ship share. So let's see what we get. So it's 1 plus controlling characteristic, which is 10. minus R is the reward die roll. So we've got to do that. We need, we're going to succeed because our target number is 13. We just need the roll to calculate this. So we've got a 5. So again, so it's 1 plus 10, which is 11, minus 5, which is 6, plus mods, which is 2. Remember, because this gets reversed when we're messing around with rewards. So that's 8. Same as it was last time, actually. So it's 8 ship shares. So no prison, 8 ship shares. That's interesting, actually. A rogue may select his scheme rather than roll for any previous career, but we haven't had any previous careers to do, but there you go. It was interesting to read that. Okay, so now we've got to carry out our skills again. So the skills, we've got per term 2 again, successful scheme 4, no failed scheme, not in prison. So now we have got we have got any of those that we like. So this time the skills I'm going to go for, so let's go and put a little box around that so I've got room to do skills. I'm going to go for personal times 2 again. I'm going to go for let's see, I'm going to go for space 1. I'm going to go for business 1, and I'm going to go for vocation 2. Yeah, 2, 4, 5, 6. So personal 1 is going to be 1, strength plus 1. So it's actually C1 plus 1, but you know, strength is only that, so that's T2. And 3, which is C3 plus 1, so endurance goes to 6 at T2. So C3 plus 1. Okay, so space travel goes to pilot 1. That's a new one. Business 4. Jack of all trades. Awesome. That's a nice one to have. And 2 vocations. So the first one is going to be 6, which is comms. And the second one is 5, which is streetwise, which goes to 2 because we already had streetwise 1 from our world. Okay, so that is that. We're going to roll for continuation again, but I'm going to finish the career path there unless I get a double 1. If I get a double 1, then I have to continue, and then you've got to watch me carry on with this. Right, what do we get? 3. Right, so I could continue if I wanted to, but I am going to muster out.